Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. Today, the New York Post released this article saying that Prince William couldn't eat for a week before Harry Meghan's bombshell Oprah interview. I'll be honest, this broke my heart today because many of us, back when this interview was about to be released, Meghan had the support of America, and we didn't know any better as to what was going on because, as many of you have seen over the course of time, how this couple have tried to manipulate and control the narrative, especially in the United States. So there were a lot of things that we didn't see, and the picture and narrative that was being painted by our mainstream media really had us supporting Meghan and Harry. Let's all remember that they hired Sunshine Sachs as their PR engine, in which they saturated the media, well, at least in the United States, on a daily basis, pushing out this propaganda for Meghan Markle. And anybody that said anything negatively were immediately silenced, whether it be kicked off social media platforms or this bot army that they paid for had been attacking people and threatening them online. For the most part, they've been going after the British people who spoke out and criticized Meghan to get them to be silenced because what they were talking about was hurting Meghan's brand over here in the United States. So I think that's why we saw such an aggressive push to get people canceled off of social media platforms and silencing their voice. And for a good while, this couple had people feeling fearful for speaking out or going against them. I mean, look at what happened with Bethany Frankel when she spoke out. She had bigwigs in Hollywood contact her and essentially told her to retract the tweet and apologize, otherwise you'd be canceled. To no fault but their own, they exposed themselves to America, showing everyone who they really are. A lot of people now don't feel so scared anymore to stand up and speak out against this couple. There's a reason why Oprah erased this from the internet, and that's because she was complicit in putting together an interview that was directly designed to attack the institution that most likely she hates the most because of the racial background. Oprah knew what she was doing, but I don't think she anticipated the backlash that she received. It didn't look too good on Oprah. In fact, it really did hurt her reputation because she miscalculated the popularity of this institution outside of the United States. And even in the United States, I think there's a huge disconnect between these wealthy elites and then the regular folk like us who genuinely have a respect for the monarchy and the late queen. And I think she didn't understand that. And by doing this reflected poorly on all of them, especially since Meghan lied throughout the whole entire thing. And instead of Oprah being a decent person and either correcting the situation by doing a follow-up or issuing an apology for any hurt or damage that may have occurred as a result of ignorantly putting this show together, she decides to hide it. And I think that too also has backfired because the internet is forever and you can wipe it straight from the internet, but there's always someone out there who has a copy. And now we're finding out more stories about how the family internalize this. And we're finding out now about the physical toll this took on Prince William, and then hearing that after the Queen had watched this lie fest, that she started to cry. That must have been so hurtful to hear this greedy, ungrateful, lying witch label your entire family and your legacy as racist. Remember, these two at no point clarified what they meant was unconscious bias, and they allowed the Queen to pass away thinking that this is what the world thought of them. I'm sorry, but this Oprah interview is never going to die as a result of what they did. This is a reminder to the world how vile these two human beings are. So Meghan and Harry should not get a second chance or third chance or fourth or 100 chance to rebuild their brand and come back stronger because they showed us who they are and what they're about. And instead of recognizing that they were wrong are going the Oprah route and pretending that this interview never happened. But people have very long memories and are not going to forget the hurt that they have caused not only to the family, but to an entire nation. What Meghan and Harry are failing to understand is that people are not going to have empathy for them no matter how many times they try to change their image and whatever PR branding marketing scheme that they come up with next. And the reason why I believe that they're going to continue to keep failing is because they have shown no remorse or had compassion for their own family. So when they spew off their word salad on compassion and kindness and uplifting communities, nobody's going to take it seriously. So they can keep trying and spinning their wheels and blaming whoever else that they want to blame for their failures. But yeah, we'll have a good time just watching, sitting back and laughing at them because they're too stupid to learn from their mistakes and show some kind of humility. Let me bring back this classic article by The Mirror from February 2021, where they called it out and said Harry and Meghan lacking kindness. The short article reads as, ever since their departure from the UK, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have been pains to teach us empathy and kindness in all that we do. As the pandemic took hold while staying in their Canadian waterfront mansion, the Duke and Duchess Sussex began preaching how we should treat one another. Their sentiments were entirely noble, and I'm sure equally well-meaning. When told how we should live our lives facing an uncertain future, blighted by illness and death, they made it clear too would be our guiding principle. But over the past year, since their move to a $15 million Californian home, and none more so than in the last few days, it's apparent it is one thing to preach, entirely another to practice. Fresh on the heels of the news, they were to sit down for an intimate tell-all chat to Oprah Winfrey so Meghan could have the final word over their departure. The monarchy felt their remaining patronages were no longer compatible with the couple's stateside life. Apparently, Her Majesty had been blindsided by her grandson and his wife's plans to detonate a nuclear bomb on U.S. TV. And while the Queen was understanding, it was claimed other family members and senior royal aides were furious with the pair's disrespect. Her Majesty issued a statement confirming the patronages were to be removed, but reminded everyone Harry and Meghan remained much-loved members of the royal family. Within minutes, at 4:30 a.m., their time in California, they responded. Their repost, written in a language you'd expect from a testy teenager, failed to show any of the empathy and kindness they said we all need to show. God forbid it showed any understanding of the situation they created after wanting out of public life to pursue their desire to make millions in the States from their royal titles. As evidenced by their work over the past year, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex remain committed to their duty and service to the UK and around the world, the couple said. We can all live a life of service. Service is universal. God forbid it showed any understanding of the situation they created. Based on everything that we've seen so far, not from the British tabloids, not from the US media, from their own mouths and their own actions, they truly are bitter and jealous human beings. And the more that we see them fall, which is what has been happening, you realize that everything that they have done was either for revenge, retaliation, or out of pure spite and jealousy. I don't know anybody that has prospered in life when you live with such hate in your heart. As you can see, nothing good comes from it. So make this couple the example. Now, I do think it's whack that these staged Photoshop photos of some girl that they procured for this photo to resemble and mirror Princess Charlotte. This is truly psychotic that this was done, and it just shows how envious Meghan is of Catherine to a point where she is trying to emulate and have her life. I find that this is extremely disturbing. Remember, Meghan bullied Princess Charlotte. Like, who does that? And how insecure must Meghan be to be jealous of a child. I find there's something seriously wrong with this woman and she should be kept away at all costs. Like, I'm beginning to believe that Meghan wanted to be Catherine, not Diana. She became Diana to entrap Harry. Remember in Tom Bower's book where he had mentioned that Meghan freaked out over this cover because it said wild about Harry, and she had called Sunshine Sachs, yelling at them because it didn't talk about who she was as a woman. Instead, Meghan got the cover not because of who she was or what she had done, but purely because she had been dating Harry. Well, I truly believe now, after discovering this, that she wanted to be on the cover, but she wanted to be on the cover just like Catherine and seen as a style icon. Just as Catherine had Kate the Great, I'm sure Meghan wanted something like She-Ra, Princess of Power, some feminist bullshit stuff to set her aside from Catherine, but be on par and equal to her. And the reason why I raise this is because the article back in 2012 from Vanity Fair about Catherine is eye-opening. And I'm just going to show you some portions of it that I think will make you see what I'm seeing as far as Meghan really wanting to be Catherine, not Diana. So Katie Nichol wrote this article, and I am sure Meghan read it because this is what Hollywood was reading, and Catherine was so glamorous when she came onto the scene and got married to Prince William that every girl wanted to be Catherine. And in fact, I think we still all want to be her because she's just so fabulous. But this article gave us a peek into what life was like now for the, at the time, new royal. This article is long, so I'm just going to give you some highlights of the first couple paragraphs. And it begins, when Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, emerged on the balcony of Buckingham Palace at the close of the Queen's Diamond Jubilee celebrations, there was no mistaking her position and importance within the British royal family. Here was Prince William's university sweetheart, a commoner from the home counties who had married the world's most eligible prince in a fairy tale wedding just a year earlier, taking her place alongside the line of succession and making history. Come on, guys, you don't think that Meghan, when she stood on that balcony, she was thinking that she was making history because of her race? She definitely wanted to be equal to Catherine. And it continues and it says, as the Queen of England stood flanked by the two men she refers to as my substitutes, her son, the Prince of Wales, and her grandson, Prince William, she sent out a powerful message about the future of the newly streamlined British monarchy. There, alongside Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, and Prince Harry, was Kate. And then it goes into saying the young woman who just years earlier had been known as Waity Katie was now at the forefront of the world's most famous family. Remember when Meghan said she didn't Google her husband and didn't know much about the royals? But somehow she knew about Catherine's nickname way back before she got married as Waity Katie, and also knew nothing about Diana's famous interview. Right. Anyhow, this article then said, Kate is the embodiment of a people's princess and, like William's late mother, Diana, the Princess of Wales, and the forebearer of that title, a world-renowned style icon. Now, of course, Meghan's reading this and saying, well, I want that title, and I want to be seen as a fashion icon. This next paragraph sounds quite familiar. Like William, the Queen is said to be acutely aware that there must be no repeat of the past. The late Princess of Wales often complained that she felt like an outsider as she embarked on her new life as a working royal alongside the older and more seasoned Charles. Kate, in contrast, has been both better prepared and supported by her husband, whom she has described as a great teacher. She has taken to royal life like a duck to water. And how many times have we heard Harry say that he didn't want history to repeat itself? And then also, too, that Meghan was going to be great at the job. Now, remember how Meghan had mentioned that she didn't think that the fanfare of curtsying to the Queen happens behind closed doors. And in the Netflix mockumentary, she talks about how formal Catherine and William were, and she's such a big hugger. Well, in this article, it does talk about the protocol and who to curtsy to, but I think she got the informality portion in her head by this last line where it says, apparently in private, she is close enough to Camilla that there is no need to curtsy, nor does she defer to William's cousins unless it is required at a formal occasion, according to one family member. Now, we all know that prior to the wedding, Meghan was so ready to hit the ground running. Same situation where Kate was eager and keen to cut her teeth as a working royal, and it says here that the Queen was going to give them some breathing room and space. And I kind of believe that Meghan saw the same thing happening and she wasn't going to be put to work so quickly, in my opinion. And this paragraph pretty much convinced me that Meghan had been trolling and studying Catherine as well. As it says here, daily life involves Kate doing the shopping at the local supermarket, which might be Waitrose, one of the more upmarket grocers, or Morrison's, which is famous for its cut-price generic brands. The only clue to her royal status as she pushes her cart down the aisles is the protection officers who follow her at discreet distance. If you look down a couple lines below, it says, in the evenings, she indulges her hobby of cooking William's favorite supper, roast chicken. And how many pap shots have we seen her in London walking to the grocery store and pecking out fresh produce, as well as her talking about this stupid roast chicken in the engagement interview? And how many roast chickens has she made? Quite a lot, right? And then let's not forget, in the Variety article, she had said that she makes a mean bolognese sauce, another dish that Prince William enjoys. Like, come on, Meghan, give it up. It then goes in to say about Catherine making jam and preserves and giving it for Christmas presents. I think somewhere I read that Meghan had mentioned she learned how to make jam with her grandmother, or something to that effect. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't actually know for sure, but I do remember reading that somewhere. And just one more point that I'd like to bring to everybody's attention. There's just too many references in this article. This will be the last one, where it says, on the beauty front, Kate is surprisingly low maintenance. She applies her own makeup, which she has never seen without before engagements, using Bobbi Brown soft brown eyebrow pencil and her shaped brows and gel liner for her kohl-rimmed eyes. Out of all the makeup specialists that she could choose, she goes with Bobbi Brown, and here she is with an effortless look, barely their makeup on, and applying whatever it is for this thing with Bobbi Brown. Why didn't she do MAC? Why didn't she do L'Oreal? I mean, didn't she want to be the face of L'Oreal? Anyhow, I just thought I'd bring that to everybody's attention. I do believe that there is quite a lot of envy Meghan has for being in Catherine's shoes, and she will never have that position. Meghan wanted desperately to be besties with Catherine, and in fact, probably take her man while she was at it. But because Catherine saw her coming from a mile away and wanted nothing to do with her, Meghan doesn't like that rejection and honestly feels as if she's on the same level as Catherine. Hence the reason why we're seeing all this jealousy and envy and trying to sabotage and bring the monarchy down, because if she can't have the crown, then guess what? She's going to continue to do whatever she can to throw a wrench and make it difficult for the monarchy in hopes that it collapses. Well, I don't think she's going to be very successful. However, I do think that the family needs to keep their distance from this woman because she is dangerous. And that's just my opinion. But what do you guys think? Just sharing my thoughts today. But as always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
It was such a fraud.